Hi there, Christine again. Just wanted to make another quick video to show everybody my tomatoes and how good they're doing. Just pass along some tips and tricks and things I've learned, experiments, things of that nature. So yeah, we'll get started on this one too. Well, first of all, I'll pan back and I'll show you that I've got two big raised beds going here. And I've used cinder blocks all the way around, and it's all got drip irrigation underneath the red mulch. So the red mulch evidently makes the fruit ripen faster and you get sweeter tomatoes. Evidently, that's what they say. I mean, it seems to be working, and you're supposed to get a higher yield. And the thing that I've noticed that I like the most actually is it keeps the weeds down. So it actually works pretty good. So anyways, that's my first tip, is the red mulch. I really think that that's making a difference with my tomatoes, because I've never grown tomatoes like this. I mean, these are out of control. They're huge, they're prolific. And I mean, this one, let's see. This one's a Cherokee purple. It's all organic. And I grew these last year. They were my favorite tomato, and I liked them so much that when I seen them for sale this year, I grabbed more than one. So this is a Cherokee purple, and it's just cascading with tomatoes. I mean, these aren't just little tomatoes either. They're a pretty good size. I mean, you know, just that one alone, I mean, it fits my whole hand. And so these are doing really good, and they're starting to ripen. So I'm excited about that. And I mean, for the most part, they're pretty, unblemished. There's not a whole lot of problems. This one probably ain't doing too good because it's actually right on the mulch, and it gets wet, and it's got kind of a weird bottom on it, but oh, and a hole too. Nice. Yeah, I'll probably be giving that one to the chickens. But yeah, there's so many. So many, and that's just what's hanging down low. I mean, there's all kinds of other tomatoes here as well. So there's these ones here. And this is a really good size. I think this is off of a different plant, but so yeah. And I just fertilized these right before we went camping, so that was on Thursday. And I use a liquid organic fish emulsion. It's kind of stinky, but it works real good. And I mix, what's it like? I think it's 2 tablespoons to a gallon of water. I can't remember right offhand, but I also add a tablespoonful of Epsom salts for every gallon, and that really enables the tomatoes to take up all the nutrients that's in the soil. So I've noticed that the Epsom salt works really, really good. But yeah, these are huge. This one is carbon, and it's a really dark, like maroon color. And these ones tend to be, I think, the sweetest. The darker, the better, I think. So, I mean, this thing is just huge. It fits, it dwarfs my hand. I'm not really sure what these cracks are all about, but they're not real bad, so I'm not too worried about it. This one's doing the same thing, but oh wow, oh shoot, this is an entire tomato. Wow, okay, I didn't realize it was connected. Got kind of a weird bottom on that, but it probably all tastes the same. So yeah, got these ones here, got those ones back there. Those looks like those ones are ripening up nicely. Got all those in the front there. Another tip number 2 of the day. You ever go to places like Fred Meyer or a shoe store, and they have the little footsies, nylons that you put on your foot before you try on the new shoes? Well, what I did is I got those because they were free, and cut them into strips, and they make like the best soft tomato ties. And they expand with the tomato as it grows, so it doesn't like cut off its circulation, although that one looks kind of tight actually. But yeah, so really great idea, and it's recycling too, so can't beat that. Moving right along, I mean, you can see there's so many. There's these ones in the top, canopy. And then they're just like all the way down too. Just everywhere you look. I think this one's... I can't even tell where these branches are coming from. They're just so massive. Okay, it's this one here. Alright, so this one is a red zebra. And you can see they kind of have a stripe to them, but none of them are really ripe yet to see the stripe. But I'm kind of interested. I've never grown them before, so I'm kind of curious to see what they look like. I like to grow unusual things, colorful things, you know, things you don't see every day, like purple green beans. I love my purple green beans. White tomatoes. I've got those grown. We'll get to those in a minute. Yeah, but look at that. I mean, that's that's a 6-pack. This one's just dangling down. I gotta do something about this one. It's just, you know, I try to string everything up, you know, to keep it supported. As you can see, I've got string, twine, supporting all this, and it's all connected to this PVC pipe, which actually works really good. And but I ran out of string before we went camping, and I just haven't been back to the store yet, and I really need to take care of that. But yeah, this is a Cherokee purple, and same thing as the first one I showed you. So I got two. They're so good. But I mean, oh my goodness, these are just, they're massive. I mean, that weighs, I mean, that's at least a pound. And yeah, they're doing really, really good. They're just loving the heat. They're loving the fertilizer. They're loving all the water. So what I do when it comes to irrigation is I use the drip irrigation underneath. Let's see, I'll show you. See? That's drip irrigation. There's holes every 6 inches. And I let that go for a couple hours, and that drips and gets around the root and stuff. But I still flood this area. I still, you know, can never have too much water, I don't think. Well, I suppose you could, but I don't think these have signs of overwatering. But I'll flood this out too about once every 3 days if it's super hot, and as much as it can take. I just keep on watering it. So, but yeah, these are just starting to get ripe. These are going to be really good slicing tomatoes. They're going to make really good sandwiches with some cheese and mayonnaise and big slice of tomato with some salt on it. Really good. So I'm looking forward to that. These are my awesome marigolds. They're doing really good too. I've never had a marigold with so many blossoms on it. All right, moving on. This is my eggplant. It's doing really good. It's got some little mini eggplants. It's not the traditional round kind. It's more like a long tubular shape. So I'm really excited to cook with those. I'm gonna make some eggplant parmesan. They're called, let's see if I can get this right, Ping Tung Long. Kind of reminds me of 16 Candles, Long Duck Dong. Remember that guy? All right. So the one in the middle back there, it's getting nice and ripe looking. Nice pretty color. There's some more of those ones, and it's gonna be Dr. White Cheese Yellow. And I just thought that was the coolest color, so I'm excited. That one fell off, so it's kind of chilling there, and hopefully it'll get ripe or I'll have fried green tomatoes. So this next one is Great White. And it's all organically grown. These are all organic tomatoes. And but I've never grown white tomatoes, so I thought, how cool is that? And but they're not very white. They're actually kind of yellow. And furthermore, what I found very interesting is they've got this really weird, there's something wrong with them. I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't researched it yet on the internet, but I mean, it's pretty gnarly looking. There's some good tomato on there, you know, you could pick some of it off, but yeah. So, and this one has it too, so I'm not too impressed yet with this Great White. So that is just one bed. So moving on to the next one. I'm gonna pull up a chair here because this is a lot of squatting. All right, so this one is doing really, really good. It's called Sun Sugar. And it's just teeming with tomatoes. It's got all kinds of tomatoes on it. Really, really good. It's all got some other tomatoes mixed in with them too. That's probably the one growing next to it. And you know, tomatoes grow really well next to strawberries. I mean, they're doing really, really good. And I got some really tasty ones. So I put a whole row of strawberries down both rows. And this is my brandy wine. Now, these are really popular. Everybody knows brandy wine tomatoes are good, but I think I'm going to leave it to the experts because I just can never get them to grow good for me. I mean, look at the size of that tomato, but it's all like messed up. It has like this weird bottom thing going on. I mean, that's kind of unattractive. And it's got a really bad top thing going on too. It's like all cracked and starting to rot out and stuff. So I need to get that off there and cut off the good parts and feed the rest of the chickens. But like a lot of them have just problems with the tops. And I really don't know what causes that. I just guess I need to get on the internet and find out. Or maybe one of you guys know what's going on, but the bottoms look weird too. There's some really big ripe ones back, well, getting ripe. Really big ones back here, at least pounders. And they got really bad tops too. Let's see if I can get in there. It's such an awkward spot. Yeah, see the bottom's all weird. And then these ones, ooh, bark on your knees does not feel good. All right. Whew, took me a minute, but all right. But yeah, look at that. That's so ugly. I don't know what's up with that. And the top's all weird. Same thing with this one. Just totally unattractive. Like, I wouldn't even want to give those away to my friends. This one, same thing. But it's just on this one, so I don't know. It's just, is it a brandy wine thing? Probably. But like, forget the brandy wine. Look at those. I mean, those are some stellar cherry tomatoes. They're doing really, really good. I mean, there's so many, they're just dropping everywhere. I need to pick them up, give them away. So yeah, so there's the brandy wines, which I won't be planting again. And this one's a sun gold. And it's just teeming. There's so many tomatoes in here. And they're all ripe. And this is after my stepmom picked a huge bowl. So, and I picked a big bowl probably like 3 days ago. And there's all this left. And I tell you what, in my freezer, I still have some from last year. That's how many. And it's grown all the way out into the aisle. They're super sweet. Really, really sweet. I painted that with rock. They make cool markers. Yeah, so that's the sun gold. And they're really super good. If you only buy one cherry tomato plant, get the sun gold because they are the best. This is another sun gold. So I got two next to each other. But yeah, you can see everything needs to be strung up. Geez, there's a big helicopter going over. So hopefully you can still hear me. So yeah, that brings us to the last tomato. And this one is a Black Prince tomato. And that looks like a yummy slicer tomato. And there's some on this one. It's not as prolific as the other ones. I mean, but there's still lots of tomatoes, that's for sure. There's these, those there. So yeah, I guess there is quite a bit. This one. That's just on one angle too. I'm sure there's some on the other side. So, but yeah, I mean, nothing beats these. Those sun golds are just out of control, and I keep on eating them. So there you have it. Last words of advice, I guess, for tomatoes like these. Number one, buy organic. Only start with the best plants that you can get, and organic is the way to go. You don't want something with pesticides on it. You know, you don't want something that, you know, its blooms are going to kill the bees that pollinate them, because that does happen with a lot of your commercially grown tomatoes, especially if they're sprayed with, or especially if they're genetically modified and they're sprayed with chemicals that kill bees and other beneficial insects. So first and foremost, buy organic plants, or you can start your own seeds, but I don't have a setup for that, so I buy them from a reputable nursery. Tip number two, the red mulch, for sure. Keeps the weeds down. It I think it definitely increases yield. I mean, the size of, I mean, just the amount of tomatoes I'm going to have is just out of control. Everybody, my friends and family, are going to all have tomatoes this year. So, yeah. And then third, I would say the fertilizer is a real important one. I don't use anything like Miracle Grow, nothing synthetic. I only use organic, and fish fertilizer. That's what I use. Fish fertilizer, a little bit of Epsom salt, and keep everything well watered. Yeah, and just love and luck. Pruning, that was the thing I didn't even discuss. I like to skirt up my tomato bushes, and which means, you know, I like to cut all the lower hanging leafage off, any kind of foliage, because not only does the plant not need it and it takes away from the plant, I'd rather the energy go into the tomatoes, but it keeps any kind of like funguses or diseases from splashing up onto the lower leaves, and that's really where you get a lot of your diseases. It's from the soil splashing up onto the leaf. So you know, if there's no leaves to splash up on, you really cut your odds down of getting any kind of you know, blight or any kind of other fungus diseases and things like that. So it really does help, it seems. And this is the first year I've done that, and I'm gonna continue to do it from here on out. So it's worked out well, I think. And even in the beginning, those sun gold tomatoes, my favorite ones, they were starting to get an early blight, and which really should have knocked it out, you know. But I was really diligent about cutting off the lower leaves. That's where it was starting, was the lower leaves. And you know, if I spotted a tiny little spot, I would take that leaf off, or, you know, a whole branch to keep it in check. And it's actually working, because it's not really spreading. It's not taking over the rest of the whole plant. The cherries are doing really good. I mean, shit, even if I did lose the plant to blight eventually, I mean, look at all the tomatoes I got beforehand. So yeah. So, like, for instance, here's a little bit of it right here. So what I would do, it's not affecting the rest of the plant, so I just take this off, you know, or you can take the entire branch off. Like, if I had clippers right now, I would take that entire branch off, because it's got a little bit of the disease on it. But that's just kind of what I've been doing for like the last 2.5 months or so, and it's been working real well. So I'll do it again next year for sure. The plants don't seem to be suffering from losing any of the leaves down below. In fact, it's, I think, diverting energy into the rest of the plant, and it's giving me all these tomatoes. This is definitely impressive. So I yeah, I think I might have found a a good recipe for growing lots and lots of tomatoes. So, and yeah, definitely use those little free footy ties, those nylon ties. You know, cut them up in strips and use them instead of twine or anything else. They're really soft, they're flexible, pliable, and they're free. So, or you can cut up a regular pantyhose, maybe one you don't use anymore, and shoot, that would make enough for your entire garden, just one pair of pantyhose cut up in strips. So yeah, either way, I hope all my tips and tricks and discussion today has helped you in some way or answered any questions you might have. Gardening is so hit and miss. I know I've scoured the internet for videos just like this to try to find answers and get tips on growing, big tomatoes and things like that. So I'm going to be putting together some videos of this nature. This one's just of tomatoes, but I got one of bell peppers coming up, just peppers in general. I'll do that next, and so stay tuned for that one if you're interested in what I do for my bell peppers to get them so big and prolific like my tomatoes. So good chatting with you, and I'll talk to you soon.